Hello. Before I talk about today's topic, I'm going to do a general overview of some of the topics that have been discussed before. Because as you know, things are all linked together and connected. The shadow has been discussed before and how our beliefs and thoughts from the subconscious mind affects our feelings and behaviors. And then the persona was discussed and it's linked to the ego and what we show to the world. And then we addressed the archetypes and their subjective manifestation from the cosmic patterns into our lives. Today, I would like to address the topic of values. Now, values, I'm not going to talk about what values to actually adopt or not, that's up to you to choose. But I'm going to address in what way are values present in the psyche and how they affect our perception towards things, ourselves, and the world. Values, morals, ethics, if you want, even though in philosophy they differentiate between these topics, but for the sake of simplicity, let's say whatever you mean by values, I mean actually the same thing. It doesn't matter, because in the psyche they are present in certain aspects, or until now we know they are present in certain aspects of the psyche. The superego, which is a Freudian concept, and the conscious. And there's a difference between the two. The superego, as the name suggests, takes values or morals or ethics that are external in nature and then adopts them, whether this person knows how they adopted them or not, or agreed to them or not, as we talked about before, that we can unconsciously adopt things without agreeing to them because we were taught that way, we were brought up that way, or something happened in our lives where we accepted things as they are, or we live in a certain society and we just take at face value that this is how things are, like social rules, for example. And then in our psyche, the superego applies these values that are taken from the outside. And it usually are absolute, like I ought to, I should, I must, and they are not really very flexible. You just have to apply them. And because of this, some people think, negatively about morality and values. But if you think about it in a general, big picture way, values have a role in society and how we interact not only with others, but how we actually view ourselves. And this takes us into an aspect of the superego, which is the self-critic, or the inner critic. And the inner critic's role really is to point out to you things that are not according to the values present in the superego. Now, that's not really an issue unless it takes a really negative form. For example, I must be successful. That is a value that is probably taken from the parents or from society, from an individualistic achieving society. So I must be successful. And usually people have a certain guidelines as what it means to be successful. For example, have a family, have children, have a very good job or career, and being promoted, and achieving certain things in life, like a house and a car and money and everything like that. And if the person does not adhere to these guidelines, the inner critic will immediately step in, and it usually is negative because it causes the person to think negatively about themselves. For example, if the person doesn't get a new car and notices their neighbor or their colleagues has a new car, then immediately get thoughts like, oh, you're not very successful. This person is more successful than you are. You have failed. You're a failure. What are you going to do? Aren't you supposed to be successful? And then all these thoughts come to your mind, and you're like wondering, yes, I am not successful. And it has a negative impact on your self-image and your self-concept and your self-esteem. And when you go back to the ideas of I need to be successful or I must be successful, you wonder, where did I get this idea from? Do my happiness and well-being have anything to do with me being successful or not? If I don't have the best car, or I have a car that is better than my colleague doesn't mean that I'm not successful, doesn't mean that I am a failure. And usually people do not do that. They just go on and on with these must, oughts, and should haves, and they do not realize that the source of their dissatisfaction and unhappiness actually comes from these inner thoughts and from the inner critic and the superego. And many of these shoulds and musts are not even chosen by the person. Now, in the process of awareness, the point is to notice that the shoulds and musts and oughts are really external nature. If you want to adopt a value from them, that's okay. That's up to you to choose. But you actually chose to do it. You know why you're actually choosing this value. And this is where we step into another form of values. It takes the form of conscience. Now, the conscience we are inborn with. It comes from within us, as opposed to the superego, which is formed from the external. Now, does that mean that we need to abolish anything that's external? Obviously not, because some values are not really inborn in us. We learn it from our interaction, or we choose to follow it. Now, the conscience is a form of an inner inborn. It sort of just gives us like a nudge towards something or another. For example, if you do something, if you smile at a child and the child smiles back, you feel like this little positive nudge. And or for example, if you're talking to your friend and then your friend asks you, can you come with me, and then you tell a lie because you really don't want to tell them that you don't want to come with them and you don't want to hurt their feelings, but you lie because you don't want to go. You feel this nudge that, well, it was not really necessary to lie, but you feel this negative nudge that, oh, maybe this was wrong to do. Now, when you have a set of values that you have chosen for yourself, you notice that your conscience is more active. It's not buried anymore. And because the superego, just like the ego, tends to want to overcome or wants to cover everything and take control. So some people just follows their shoulds and musts and ought tos. And you notice they even tell you, you should do that. You must do that. They talk like that. And if you follow your conscience, you follow your values with an inner motivation, with something that naturally comes from yourself, but in a form that it connects to whatever value that you have consciously adopted. Now, the point of all of this is, like we've talked about in all the videos, is for you to be aware of the values that you're choosing and to choose them and live by them consciously. To help you with that, many people tend to use a journal where they write down whenever you have a thought, a should thought or an ought thought, reflect on it, write it down, reflect on where did it come from? Do I agree with it? Do I want this value? Do I really want this value or not? And put the values that you wish to adopt and the ones don't. And then this is a new reprogramming of the subconscious mind, and you consciously will follow these values as you have chosen them. Until next time, bye.